Why is it okay for you to believe your father's your father and cite all these peripheral evidences? He looks like me, this, that, the other.
Because
then all of a sudden, when it comes to something else, you want proof. Why?
It's a reasonable thing to assume, right?
Yes.
Okay.
However, it's not proof.
Hold on a second. Well, when you talk about 14 centuries ago, I can't show you a video of Prophet Muhammad's 40 years and say, look, there's the proof, right?
Can it? You can't say, yeah, an angel visited him, maybe, and it could have been a demon. Can it? Can't both be same, can they? Can't both be correct, can they?
Maybe it was an angel, and then maybe that angel was taken over by a demon halfway through. Who knows? You don't know. This is the problem. You laugh, but these are just stories that you guys are telling us.
No. You came to this conversation with logic.
It's overtaken.
To it.
Arabic literature emerged in the 5th century.
Yeah, literature. You're talking about written texts.
Yeah, literature is written.
No. You're talking about I know you googled it. That's the problem.
No, I know.
Yeah.
I know,
so what you need to do is actually.
But the problem is people are just saying it without saying it as if that's fact. I don't think it is.
Well, you just said it's fact, as if it is.
We're having this debate now.
No, but you're saying it as fact as if it is. And you just said you had a problem with people saying things as facts.
I've just done a little bit of research.
No, you just googled.
There was literature. There was 5th century literature in
According to who?
Yeah, but 5th century. 5th century is the...
Well, you just googled. You're the one with the information.
But he's making a claim that the Quran was the first book.
It was.
Right. And you've just okay. And you just.
I'm just trying to find evidence that doesn't support that.
No, you're not evidence. You're just no. With all due respect, sir. With all due respect,
you've just done that.
You're not looking for evidence. You're not looking for evidence. You're just looking for a statement.
You've just said you have a problem with people saying things and taking their faith. No, relax. One second. No, 1 second. No.
But do your research, not Google.
Just said you have a problem with saying things and how people have to take it at face value, and then you just said something that we have to take at face value. All we said was support what you're saying. Be consistent.
Okay.
Don't bring it in.
Well, okay.
That's all we're saying. Be consistent.
If you look at experts,
the thing is, last time I talked to you, I had examples of all the miracles that are in the Quran. So things like fingerprints were prophesied in the Quran. Fingerprints were being used. Not the fingerprints were prophesied. The fact that people will use fingerprints in the future to work out who's committed crimes.
The Quran doesn't say that.
You told me that.
It's
on camera.
No. I said we will resurrect you, and Allah talks about that even your fingertips to the tips of your fingers. Allah says we will resurrect you.
Highlighting the idea that you can be identified through your fingerprints.
So at that time, people didn't know this notion of what is fingertips. What is this?
Why would the Quran say fingertips?
But it's in later generations we found out that their complexity.
Yeah. So fingerprints.
Okay.
Yeah.
What we're basically saying is
fingerprints were being used in 600 years before Jesus was born. People were using them to mark pottery as their signature. So if people were using it 600 years, then the Quran didn't prophesy anything.
Because could they distinguish the difference between your fingerprint and my fingerprint?
People were using their fingerprint.
No. I asked you a question. I asked you a question.
600 years.
Could they differentiate your fingerprint from my fingerprint?
Of course they could. They looked at.
No, they could not.
Of course they could.
No, could they not?
How would they know?
No, could they not?
Okay. How would they know it's your fingerprint? How would they know it's your fingerprint?
Because you look at it.
How would you know? How would I know?
Because you
All
can.
right. You're in your pot. Okay, 1 second. You're in Warsaw on your potter's wheel, yeah, and you make this pot and you make a fingerprint, and it comes to France, and this was what's your name?
Lister.
This was made by the famous pottery Liston. And so how do we know? Look, his fingerprint.
Okay.
How would I know in France that's your fingerprint?
It's absurd.
But people would use it. So
why would they use it?
Because
did they have a database of fingerprints so we know who's who?
People in France wouldn't have been getting pottery from Arabia 600 years before.
I didn't say Arabia. I said Warsaw, Poland.
Well, Poland. 600
Are you-
years
all right.
before.
It's not about that.
People
It's about
weren't
fingerprints.
travelling those distances. No, but the thing is, in the local community.
So are you saying? All right.
You'd be
All
able
right.
to differentiate between those two. It's not on a global scale. There's no global.
What I need to know. All right. Okay. Let's imagine you make a pot, right? And I go to a potter shop in your town, and I look at this pot, right? And they say it's made by Lister. You said. Lister. Okay, this pot's made by the famous potter Lister, right? I go, well, how can I be sure? Well, there's his fingerprint.
Okay, can I just say something?
Well, I know what you mean.
Hamza,
Well, that's like art dealing.
in
now.
1892,
How am I supposed
excuse
to
me,
know
sir,
that that's
sir,
his signature?
sir, excuse me.
Recognise
Okay,
the
let's have a look.
signature.
Okay,
Art dealing
In
something.
1892,
One second. A
In
signature
1892,
is identifying yourself,
Alvarez
isn't it?
and
And
Galton
they're never the same, but a
No,
fingerprint
but-
is always the same.
No, but a finger.
made the
who that
first
fingerprint
criminal
is.
fingerprint identification.
An art dealer,
Okay.
if you're dealing in art, you'd learn
Hamza,
what that
Hamza.
signature
Go.
is. and
Brother,
that signature
go on.
would look
You know,
a
like
certain
we
way.
both like using Google.
But I think you've
yeah?
got a deeper problem that we'll deal with.
In 1892, Alvarez and Galton at what was it? I've got my
Buenos
glass.
Aires.
Buenos Aires, Argentina. In 1892, Inspector
Made the first criminal fingerprint
Eduardo
identification.
made the first fingerprint identification
In 1892.
1892.
Of course, yeah.
Right.
Well, you were talking 600 Arabia.
So when the Quran talks about we will resurrect you and recreate you even down to your fingertips, okay, it has a scope of meaning. But however, you cannot claim that 600 years before the Quran, they were using fingerprints to identify individuals.
For pottery,
That
they
is-
were. That is absolutely true.
That's ridiculous.
We just said in 1892 was the first time someone was identified by their fingerprint.
That might be a fingerprint, not the fingerprint. Do you understand my point?
But this is to actually criminally convict someone we're talking about, which has to go by the
Show me this fingerprint thing. Show me this
but-
Polish
No.
finger.
Can I make a point? Quran is talking about the importance of fingertip. Now we know
The significance
how-
of it.
The
I'm
significance.
sorry, but it's
You get the point.
It's a very vague sentence.
No, it's not.
It is a vague sentence.
It's vague if you wish it to be vague, but let's just.
It's
Yeah, of
Let's
course.
trans-
if you wish it to have me.
No,
Anyway,
okay.
I don't want to get sidetracked. I want to just go back to this discussion
Well, we
with
can
the
kill
brother
two
here.
stones with one bird here. We
Yeah.
can kill two stones with one bird here.
Yeah.
No, seriously, man, we can kill two stones with one bird here because this guy is making the same claim,
Even the tips of
and he might be brave enough to take on the claim.
individually, I'll bring you up with the same fingertips. It was the importance that Allah was trying to show us, and now we know in the 21st century that how every fingertip is
It's
unique.
different, unique.
I'm sorry, but that is such a vague. That's not proof of anything.
Well, no,
Makes
it's-
sense.
okay,
Nobody's
no.
saying
logic,
I think
logic.
here's the problem you've come with, yeah.
Simple, accept
You've come with a
logic.
straw man argument. To be honest, straw man, you're responding to something we haven't said.
No, I'm responding to something that was said.
Well, he said no, he didn't say
I didn't
that.
say that.
So you're trying to make a response to something we're not even talking about.
No, it's on video where he said.
And then you're
lots of
saying this
promises
isn't proof of
made.
anything. And we never said it was proof of anything. So you've interrupted the conversation, bringing in a whole red herring and a whole straw man argument. And I don't understand why. But now, but no. Allah's the best of planners. And I think this guy's afraid because he knows what's coming. So at the same time, the way we'll deal with you, he'll hear his answer at the same time. Yeah? So your claim, I'm assuming, is that Muhammad made up the religion.
I'm not saying he made it up.
He didn't make it up.
No, he could have made it up. You don't know that he didn't.
Well, what's your claim?
I'm saying he could have, or he could have been hallucinating on certain drugs.
So you
and like I think Moses probably was, and he.
So you think all the prophets were junkies,
Oh,
basically?
no.
And they were consistent.
There's nothing wrong with using drugs. I don't think.
gonna stand it up if you
For certain things.
Okay.
Cannabis treats certain cancers these days.
Let's do logic here. Can we do logic?
I love logic.
Alhamdulillah, you're in the right place. Okay. Do you accept there's only 4 variables of what Muhammad Sallallahu could have been with regards to this matter?
Yeah, probably about 4. Yeah, and
There's a 5th variable, and I'll allow it. I don't mind. First variable is he's a liar, and he's making up the religion, and he didn't have a visitation from any angels, and he's just creating the religion. He's got some books from the Jews and the Christians, and this is what he loves this, and he put it all together. He's found a little bit of science that kind of makes sense, a bit that gives a little bit of.
Credence.
Yeah, exactly.
you accept that's a possibility.
Yeah. Because what we're dealing here is logic, yeah? Deductive logic. So we're doing the Sherlock Holmes, isn't it? When you eliminate the impossible, whatever, exactly, no matter how improbable, has to be the truth. Okay. So one he's a liar, which means there is no angel, and he's not a prophet of God, and he's making it all up for whatever motive he's doing it for. Job done. Agreed? That's one variable. Okay. Variable number 2. He's mentally disturbed. He's having visions because he's been in the cave for so long, and he starts thinking he's seeing an angel, and he thinks he's being visited by an angel and getting revelation from God, when in fact it's all in his head. Yeah? Which would not make him a liar.
Yeah, and I think that's even more probable than his version.
Well, you're going to have to choose one anyway, so don't worry.
No, because I don't believe
No,
in
let's relax.
There's no point in choosing something that
You know what? What's that?
So there's no point in choosing something if you don't know what is 100% fact.
Well, no,
There's lots of
that's not how it works. That's not how it
works.
works. Belief doesn't work.
That's what you guys have done by
No.
you put all your
Belief doesn't work that way. Belief doesn't work the way you think it works.
A lot of you will be playing Pascal's Wager.
No, Pascal's Wager is between different sects of Christians, but nothing to do with Muslims.
No, there would be the sense of Pascal's Wager in all religions.
No, but the Pascal's Wager was to do
Like, I
with...
may as well believe just in case.
No, Pascal's Wager was with regards to interfaith Christianity, Catholicism and Protestantism.
Oh yeah, of course. Pascal's Wager.
It doesn't work. It doesn't work when you bring Islam in it, because then you've got a problem of 3 different ones. Because are the Catholics right, the Protestants right, or the Muslims right?
Anyway, what's the other two?
Well, that's what I'm saying. So the second one is the delusional.
Yeah.
The third one, the angel is really a demon, pretending to be an angel. Yeah, and he thinks he's getting revelation from God, when in fact he's getting revelation from a demon. And then Islam then comes out of a demon.
I mean, that's probably the least likely.
No, these are variables, yeah.
No, I know, but that's the least likely. I'd say.
The fourth variable, he never existed. There was no such man as Muhammad. He was invented in history to create this religion.
I think that's very unlikely. Fifth variable is what he's saying is true.
Allahu Akbar. So we've got 5 variables, yeah?
Yeah, I think all of them are possible.
And do you accept that choosing one variable eliminates all the other 4?
Choose. Yeah, but you can't just
No.
choose.
Well, you have.
No, I've not. I've said all of them are possible.
No, but they can't all be possible.
Why can't they all?
Do you accept if he's a liar, then he wasn't delusional, wasn't deceived by
No,
a tool,
because but then nobody knows.
No.
Nobody
No.
knows at the moment. So at the moment, they're all.
I can see you need the belief talk.
Obviously, one is true,
Right.
but all of them are possible because nobody knows yet.
Just listen. We'll get there, don't worry. But do you accept that if he's a liar, then he can't be delusional, can't be deceived by a demon, can't be telling the truth, and obviously he must have existed. So you have to eliminate the other 4. Would you agree?
In other words, if you prove one of them, the other 4 are
The other
false.
4 are
Okay,
debunked.
so where's the proof for one of them?
Allahu Akbar. I have to do the belief thing.
No worries.
Just put this on so he knows what we're talking, because we want to be talking logically. How do you understand the term belief? Just so I understand what page you're on.
A belief is something that you think to be true without being 100% sure.
Right, and can a belief
You have faith in something to be true.
be true without proof?
It could be, but it doesn't. But just because you believe it doesn't mean it is true.
No, but you could believe it and it could be true.
Yeah. So, like, if I was to say I believe the Earth is round
Yeah.
and it is round, then of course.
Well, just say you believe your father's your father, yeah?
Well, I'm not like.
Our similarities are
No,
so much
that
that I think it's
wasn't my question.
But 99.
That wasn't my question. Do you believe your father's your father or not?
He most likely is.
No, I didn't ask that question. I said, do you believe he is or not?
Direct question, direct.
I didn't say, do you know he's your father? I said, do you believe he's your father?
I believe he is.
You believe he is. Why?
We've got the same hairline.
Right. Same hairline. Maybe your mum wasn't a player. Yeah.
Yeah. There's
Family testimony.
In fact, there's no doubt in my mind that he's my father, just because we are so.
But you have no proof.
I mean, we could get proof by DNA.
No, but you've got none right now.
No, I'm not.
But you believe he's your father.
I mean, if you saw us together, you'd be like, yeah.
No, but right now you believe he's your father
Yes.
without proof.
Yes.
Right. So you don't need proof for a belief to be true.
It's almost 100% proof.
Doesn't matter. It's not true proven. So therefore, you don't have no proof he's your father,
Okay.
but you believe he is, which is not a problem.
Okay.
So, what this does prove, effectively, objectively, a belief can be true without proof. Yeah.
Yes, but
Alhamdulillah.
Good reason to believe he's your father.
Right. No. That's the next point. No.
there's
So then
there's no way that equates to the Quran.
I'll explain it does.
Go on then.
Because this has got nothing to do with the Quran, religion. It's to do with.
Stop
principles.
Side.
Principles, yeah? So if the principle is this, a belief, what's a belief? A belief is the acceptance of something to be true without proof. Yeah? You hear me? The acceptance of something to be true without proof. That's what belief is. You accept your father as your father without the need for a DNA test, yeah? Why? Because you have family testimony, your mum was faithful, you look like your father. Yeah, no problem, no problem.
Sorry.
Yeah, and you look like your father if you stood next to each other. So these now are good reasons.
Like the hairline is exactly the same. It's such a
Allahu
unique
Akbar.
hairline that it's a million to one.
Did your dad have a brother?
No,
Oh,
it's only child.
fair enough. But the point here is this: you're accepting it to be true without proof, which is not a problem. So a belief, this is evidence that a belief can be true, and you don't need it to be proven. We're not that hyper skeptical in life. When I go to the doctors, I don't ask him to prove he's a doctor before I let him give me any medication. I say, where's your certificates? Where's your credentials? When my kids go to school, I don't want the teachers to prove they're teachers before they teach my kids. We accept it as true. We believe they're teachers. We believe they're doctors.
For these people to not be doctors would be very, very unlikely. Extremely unlikely.
No,
that
it happens.
It doesn't.
No,
it does happen, but it would be.
No, but the point is this. No. But I believe it. But I believe it without the proof. Okay. The principle I'm establishing here is very, very simple.
I think your like the amount of evidence that you need for proof in these situations is like the evidence is he's in the office surrounded by lots of other doctors. And lots of, like.
No. Listen, we're talking about principles here.
Okay.
And the principle is very simple, and you will agree to this. Do you accept a belief can be true without proof?
Yes.
Yes. And what makes that belief strong is the reasons behind it.
Yeah, and the reasons behind a belief in God.
No, forget that for now. We're talking about the principle. So, your belief in your father, we've said to family testimony, the belief in the doctor, how could he be in a hospital, this, that, the other? We get that. Right. You cannot prove a belief wrong.
Of course you can't.
You can't. Because there's no proof for it. Right?
So I believe that there's a teapot orbiting Earth.
Do you?
Yeah, I do.
Why?
Because you can't prove it to be untrue.
No, why do you believe it's floating?
Just for argument's sake.
So you believe it is or not?
Well, does it matter?
Yeah, because you made a claim. Is it or not? You believe in the teapot or not?
I do, yeah.
You do believe in it. Why?
Because you can't prove it to not be true.
I know I can't. Why do you believe it's true?
Why do you believe God's true?
No, I'm asking you the question. You talk about teapots now. Why do you believe the teapot's there?
Because I believe that the God put us here and created the earth and he's testing us to get us into teapot heaven.
Why do you believe that?
Because
Basically, what reasons would you have to believe such a thing?
Why do you believe that?
You have reasons to believe that.
Why do you believe
I
that?
want to believe it.
No.
Seems like a fun thing to believe.
No, why do you believe it though? So you've got no reason to believe it?
No, what reason have you got to believe in the Quran?
All right. Come on, Gideon. Look, you believe in a teapot heaven, yes?
It's exactly
No, it's not. It's like me saying...
Well, if it's not, answer the
So
question.
why did I ask you...
Okay, it will take it in turn.
Okay, listen.
Like,
Why is it okay for you to believe your father's your father and cite all these peripheral evidences? He looks like me, this, that, the other.
Because
Then all of a sudden, when it comes to something else, you want proof. Why?
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
I'm not. I'm saying you're trying to put like these beliefs onto people like they're not true.
No, I'm not.
But there are other explanations.
No, I'm not. I'm not trying to put anything on.
Much more logical
Okay.
explanations.
What belief am I trying to put onto anyone?
The Quran is true, and that Jesus was that Muhammad was the last prophet. And
No, I'm telling you why I believe it's true.
but this guy is using things like prophecies.
No.
Like again, with
No. Forget that.
Noah's Ark
Forget that.
on a hill.
Forget that.
Fingertips.
Please don't bring no logical fallacies into it again. You can bring in absence of evidence of absence, arguments of silence. Leave the logical fallacies at the door, please. You're in the wrong place. You said you like logic and you use 4 now. Relax with the logical fallacies. Right. So basically, here's the standard. Belief can be true without proof. But why would we accept? Why should I believe your father's your father? You haven't got no DNA test.
Do you want to see the picture, Mary?
No, that's what I'm saying to you. You're giving me reason to accept it, isn't it?
Okay.
No, listen. You could show me.
It's to the Quran because
I will bring it to the Quran. I'm going to bring it to Muhammad, not the Quran. So here's the thing, you see. You can show me pictures of your father. He looks like me. I can say, nah, I don't really look like you, mate. Yeah? You can say, my mum was faithful. Are you sure? She don't look that. She looks like... I'm just saying to you.
No, but the thing is,
no. Just because you bring me...
Hold on, there's a certain level of evidence that I would accept. If my dad didn't look like me, and if my mum was unfaithful, then I'd start asking questions, and then I'd ask for proof.
Right. But we're talking about me now, isn't it? Why should I care? Why should I believe your father's your father? You got no proof, mate.
I don't care if you believe it.
Yeah, you're trying to tell me about his hairline then.
Because you brought it up, to be honest.
No, you did.
Okay, well, let's. I'm only trying.
No, but do you understand?
This argument.
No, I'm trying to make you be consistent this stuff.
I don't care. I wouldn't come up to you and start telling you that I don't think your dad's your dad.
No, I did ask that, did I?
No, but this is the same.
No, I said, why do you believe he's your dad?
But you guys go around saying that you believe that that Muhammad was the last.
We believe it, yes. One second.
Because you're trying to. You're trying to.
We go around and do what?
Ideology onto someone without proof. Like I could push an ideology of the global warming onto people because I have significant scientific evidence of that.
Right, and what's your point?
So I think that is a reasonable thing, and it's
right.
A meaningful thing to do for the planet.
Right.
But when you're pushing ideologies onto people...
First thing here, let's have a caveat. We're not pushing nothing onto anybody.
I think this...
But please, if you want to talk about me...
No, freedom of speech, I agree.
So who about...
He's exercising.
Can you give me an example of me pushing anything into anyone?
I mean, here, the fact that you're saying things as you're claiming things as if they are true.
No.
When you're not using.
We're saying
you should be using I believe.
No.
Hold on. Can I just finish like 30 seconds? You should be saying I believe that the Quran was the first book ever written, Arabic book ever written. I believe that it predicts the fingertips. It's the language that you use.
I do say that.
But like he said that the Quran was.
No, but that might be an objective. No, that might be true.
But that is not true.
All right, prove it's not true.
Well, no, he's made the claim.
Yeah, you said it. No, he made.
What was the claim that I made? Sorry?
You said the Quran's the first book in Arabic.
Yes.
So you show us it's not.
He's made the claim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You said it's not.
And I provided evidence.
No, you didn't.
Well, there's.
Provide the evidence. He'll take that back.
You said it. That's all. You just said.
Can you just find what was the book?
Yeah. Who's it written by?
Had before the Quran.
Yeah. What book?
The Arab Peninsula, which book they have?
Which book did they have?
Before the Quran.
Before the Quran.
Just Google that, innit?
The Arab Peninsula.
And if you want an expert on it, probably Angela Neweth, the foremost expert in Germany on the Quran. She's not Muslim, by the way.
Oh yeah, I think since she was brought up last time, she's a very controversial figure. I can't remember why.
She's controversial because she doesn't maybe agree with some of the things that maybe you agree.
I think
Dr. Jonathan Brown.
I think you were
a historian.
Non-Muslims.
Her comments.
Non-Muslim. Keep it. He's Muslim. Keep it non-Muslim.
Our point is a simple one. Sorry, what was your name
No,
again?
but he read
Lister.
it and he became a Muslim.
Lister as in Red Dwarf.
Lister, we believe certain things. You have every right to ask us, why do you believe that?
Exactly.
We can then provide our reasons why we believe it. You can then, of course, challenge those reasons.
That's the whole point.
That's quite fair, isn't it?
No, I agree that's fair.
Right.
Well, that's what we're doing.
But
No, but Lister, I would say
say
certain things that I believe very firmly, and I would give reasons why I believe those things quite solidly, right? You could then argue against those by looking at the reasons,
Challenging the reasons.
challenging my reasons. I think that's quite reasonable.
That's how you collapse a belief. So, for example, as our friend was a believer in Christianity, he believed that the Bible's the word of God. We collapsed his reasons why he held that belief. Standard. And if you still believe it after we've collapsed your reasons, you're now delusional. Yeah? Because you're now ignoring the evidence.
How old do you think the Earth is?
I wouldn't care. I've no idea.
No idea.
Billions of years.
Who knows? Who knows?
No, but it's not important.
We're Muslims, not Christians, yeah?
Not important.
No. The 6,000-year-old Earth theory is very popular.
That's the Bible. No, it's not.
What about evolution? Do you believe in evolution?
It's irrelevant. I tell you why it's
Could you be very
irrelevant.
coy on these? Because I don't think you do believe in
No,
evolution.
it's irrelevant.
Do we believe man evolved from a fish? No.
No.
Okay, so you're going against the absolute, almost
Absolute.
Yeah, it is.
Does science have absolutes?
It's practically.
Does the scientific method have absolutes?
Practically proven that evolution.
Does scientific method
and
have
you're going
absolutes?
against
Do you believe? Do you believe?
absolute,
No,
it wouldn't
okay.
call
Do
theory.
you believe a scientific method has absolutes?
I wouldn't call theory.
There's evolution exists.
No. And it has. No.
Absolutely true. Yes.
Let me just deal with this assumption.
Evolution
Do you
is
believe?
true.
Do you believe the scientific method has absolutes? Honestly,
Yeah. Yes.
you do.
Yes. So
Okay.
2 + 2 = 4, and that's absolutely true, always and forever.
Oh my goodness.
So yes, I do believe it does.
But do you understand how that works?
What 2 + 2 = 4?
Yes. Do you know how that actually works?
Yes.
First, you have to make an assumption
What's the
that the
assumption?
2 is 1, 2. That's an assumption.
No, it's not.
It's not an absolute, is it?
2 is
My
always
friend,
1 + 1.
the way that
2 is always the square
because
root
the
of
principle and the
4.
laws and the rules are things that we've set up to start with, and that's why it equals 4.
No, but maths are natural. They weren't invented. They were found. Numbers were found. So 0 didn't exist for a long time because we didn't find
When
0.
did you find it?
We started the calendar at 1. We didn't
No,
start
but who
at
found
0.
it? Who found it?
I mean, I don't know the person who found it, but someone found this.
Yeah, who?
I don't.
From what nation?
Okay, well,
From what religion?
should we find it? Should we find the answer?
Yeah. I think you'll understand by
You
the
should ask the question when you have when they say this is my belief, and you say, oh, I have.
No.
I have a problem with
Let's
that.
go back on
Ask
point.
them that
Let's stay on point.
question.
Where's the doctor? This is his talk.
He's just having a chat calmly with you.
Right,
your reason, then
okay.
he will answer you.
Right. Let's go back to our 5 variables. Do you accept the Sherlock Holmes quote, yeah? When you eliminate the impossible, whatever's left no matters how improbable has to be the truth. Yeah? So if we can...
No, I don't believe that is a logical way to think of it.
You don't?
Then you
No.
So if I can show you that Muhammad wasn't a liar and he wasn't crazy and wasn't deceived, are you telling me that what's left isn't true?
But you can't.
No. Is that, forget what I can't do. You're telling me if I eliminate those things, what left isn't true?
Where was Muhammad?
Forget that.
in the first
Forget
20 years
that.
of his life?
Forget that.
You don't know that he
Forget
was
that.
illiterate. Where's
Forget
the
that.
evidence that he was
Forget that.
illiterate?
Forget that. Forget
Where's your
that.
evidence?
Arguments for silence. Forget that.
No,
Okay. Forget that.
These
I
are
asked you a
assumptions
principle.
that you are making.
Lister, I asked you the principle. You said you don't believe if you eliminate the impossible, whatever's left, no matter how improbable, has to be the truth. So I'm asking you again. We have 5 variables. So if we can prove he didn't lie and he wasn't crazy and he wasn't
Prove he was illiterate.
No. I said if. Let's first establish the principle. So if we can show he wasn't a liar and he wasn't crazy and he wasn't deceived by a demon and he did exist, then do you accept what's left has to be true or not?
No, because there's lots more variables.
Give me another one.
So he could have acted in. He could I think the most logical.
No. Give me another variable.
He is the Shakespeare of his time. He spent 30 years.
That means he's a liar. So it's the same variable.
No, but I don't think that is a liar because maybe he was being honest between his followers, and then people thought it.
Listen, Lister. You said you like logic. Lister. If Muhammad wasn't visited by an angel, then he lied, no matter how he did it. Yeah?
No, maybe he thought he was.
All right, then he's delusional then.
But maybe he wasn't delusional because maybe these things are true.
What?
Maybe.
You just agreed to the variables, then you said there's more variables,
No, because
and now you're splitting the variables. Come on.
But if when we see that tree there, that is a delusion.
Is that my mic?
So, for instance, that tree is 99% space, like empty space. It's all energy. So the fact that we're seeing that now is, in a sense, a delusion. So.
Does the tree exist?
Do you believe an angel visited Muhammad in the cave?
Do
you believe
if a tree falls in the woods and comes around to hear it, does it make a sound?
Okay.
And it doesn't. because there's no one there to pick up on to amplify those sounds. So
the sound doesn't exist.
So if there was potentially if there was no one here to observe that truth, it might not exist.
Lister, do you believe Muhammad?
This is.
No, Lister.
What have you been drinking?
I was going to say, what have you been smoking?
These are conversations.
These are conversations. Lift that, man. Listen, Lister.
Brilliant scientists.
Lister. Just listen, please. Stop trying to be too clever, all right?
But these are.
But it's not. They're not. These are things you do when you've been smoking weed, mate. These are conversations you have.
Scientists probably smoke a lot of weed.
Maybe they do. Maybe they do.
Steve
Do you believe when Muhammad said an angel visited him in the cave, he was telling the truth or not?
I don't know.
Would you believe or not?
Well, I don't know.
Okay.
You don't know.
Okay.
Nobody knows.
Okay. I didn't ask, do you know, did I? I said, do you believe it or not?
I don't know.
You don't know your father's your father? You don't know it?
The evidence is
No, it's belief, mate. It's belief, mate. Subjective, mate.
No, it's not.
Subjective. Yes,
The
it is.
evidence isn't.
No, it's not.
conclusive.
You don't know it. Do you know it? Do you know it?
Well, you don't.
No, you don't know it though. Yeah, you believe it. Right. So the point here is this: you're asking us to know stuff. You're allowed to know stuff just through belief.
No, because you're.
Right? I'm asking a very simple question here. Do you believe an angel visited Muhammad in the cave or not? If you say yes, then you believe Islam is true. And he wasn't lying. If you say no, then we've got to go to another variable. Do you believe an angel came to Muhammad or not? He said it did. Is he telling the truth or not?
Could have done.
Could have done. All right. Could he have had an angel visit him and be delusional about an angel visiting him?
At the same time?
Yeah.
No.
Right. So one of them's wrong, innit?
One of them probably is.
Yeah. Right. And could that angel be a demon?
Maybe both of them. Are.
Could that angel be a demon instead of an angel?
Could have been.
It can't be, can it? You can't say an angel visited maybe, and it could have been a demon. Can it? Can't both be same, can they? Can't both be correct, can they?
Maybe it's an angel, then maybe that angel's taken over by a demon halfway through. Dudes, you know. You laugh. These are just stories that you guys.
No. You can't have a conversation with logic.
That's the first one.
You're watching too much Netflix, mate.
That is
Honestly.
the first one. So an angel from God that has the protection of God is sent by God
To Muhammad.
and then there's a demon that manages to overtake the demon.
Wasn't
Come on, man, what's going on?
Wasn't Satan?
Lister,
Wasn't
come on.
Satan?
No, we're Muslims. We're not Christians.
Lister.
Well, according to the Christians.
But we're not Christians. We're not Christians.
Listen, look, can I just say one thing? Look, listen. Look, we believe certain things, right? And we are asked about the reasons why we believe those things. And we give our reasons. You can either accept them or deny them. That's your choice, right? But hold on. But Lister,
language in which it's used.
but what is important, Lister, is this: that we're intellectually honest about things.
I think that.
So when Hamza gives you logical variables that are possible, and you agree that yes, okay, it could be, it's probably one of these
It
five.
has to be one of the five.
And then what Hamza's saying to you is, if I give you good reasons,
But here I am asking for those reasons
Yes.
why you think it's
No,
true.
but it's
You'll
not-
just keep saying no. We'll come to
No,
that,
but
and
what
we'll never
Hamza's-
get
No,
into
but
that.
Lister,
So
but there's
where
no
is it?
point. There's no point. Listen, Lister.
No, but listen,
No.
it's important.
It's easy to bring up another
Lister.
rational explanation.
No. First thing is to do is to establish the principle. Now, if I can show you, look, if you can't concede that if one of those five variables, if he's one of them, the other four are wrong. If you can't even accept that, you've got a problem straight away.
Okay, so take yours, and I'll show you how that's not necessary.
No, we'll come to that. But you've got to accept the principle first.
Okay, I accept the principle. Now let's.
No,
go
do
to
you
yours.
accept the principle?
Yes, I accept the principle. Now let's go to yours.
So you do accept when you eliminate the impossible, whatever's left
Yeah,
of the
we'll eliminate yours. Come on.
Oh, I believe he's telling the truth.
So you believe he's telling the truth?
Yeah.
That he was. So Muhammad never said he was illiterate, but you believe he was illiterate.
We are told he was illiterate.
Yes. So.
The way let me explain how this works, just so you understand.
Yeah, I know. Okay.
The first claim against him, he lied about it. That's the first claim. He lied. He made it up. There was no angels. He invented this religion for himself. Do you accept that's a variable? Yes, you do.
Okay, but I said that one of the variables is he probably was very literate.
So of all the variables...
You said, well, no, if that's
all right.
true, then he's a liar.
So of all the variables, which one do you think is true?
So I think the most likely thing that happened was Muhammad was very, very literate. We don't know what happened to him in the first 20-odd years of his life, was it?
So which of the variables are we on here?
No, I think this is a very... it's in between a couple of your variables. So he was very literate. He was very well read. He probably travelled a lot, so he was aware of all the different religious texts at the time. He was very aware of the society crumbling behind him. There was all these warring factions. There was religion being taken out of context, and he wanted to fix the problem. He wanted to create a society that was more harmonic. So I think he was acting in very good faith when he was creating these religious texts over the period of, what, 33 years?
23.
23 years. And he had his followers to help him do those things. And I'll equate those things with like when the Greeks were doing maths, they probably weren't doing it in their heads. They were probably writing massive equations of just like all sorts of numbers in the sand and using like lots of other like I don't know, maybe slaves, maybe kids, I don't know, helpers to help them on. So it was a massive like group effort. I think the same could have been done with the Quran in the way that it was arranged to make it so that they've got like so many words on either end, and you've only got five words. Like all the miracles that you were going on about before. So I think he's very, like I said, the Shakespeare every time he created a masterpiece because humans are brilliant. I have faith in humanity that we are smart enough on our own that we can create those things, and I think there's a logical explanation for everything that we see in history, and it's all could be done without God. If there is a God, I don't think he's there controlling things. He's there.
Can I ask you? No, let him go. Let him go. Can I ask you a question? If that was true, and Muhammad said, this Quran is from God, this revelation is from God, wouldn't the people have simply said, come on, you're an author, you're a brilliant mind, you've been a poet all your life, you've been a writer all your life.
Can I just let him hang himself first?
You're an absolute...
Please, let him go. I was enjoying the story, keep going.
You're an absolute amazing guy with history, with this,
come on, man.
Because remember, revelation was coming to him from the age of 40, right?
Don't jump the gun.
Do you understand my point? So why would the people accept him as a prophet? They would just say, you're a very clever guy. You're nothing special. You've been hearing this stuff of you for the last 20 years.
Let him talk.
So, yeah, let me talk. So there's a book.
Let him talk.
If anyone wants
just keep funneling. Keep funneling the rope.
Let me listen. Then there's a.
I'm loving it.
There's a book written by a guy called Julian James. It's called The Origin of Consciousness and the Breakdown of the Bicameral Mind. So what he suggests is he's done lots of research on people with epilepsy. He's done research on ancient texts. He's done research on what's the other one? There's another section to his research as well. But he suggests that before language was created, we were all we all acted on instincts like animals. So once we started working together in groups, and we were we needed to know how many animals there were that were about to attack us. So then we have numbers for.
Lister, what the hell are you talking about?
Then we'd give people names. So as language was being created, it was this merge of like our instinctual brain and this creative side. So we have two sides of our brain.
What are you talking about? I said let you talk. What are you talking about?
I'm talking about the origin of consciousness.
What's that got to do with... No! I'm not going to origin.
No.
What are you talking about?
And then how that goes on to...
You started off brilliantly. Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he was the Shakespeare of his time. He was a literary genius.
Well,
stop.
What I believe.
You're telling me? No, right. And I'm going to destroy what you just said. I'd rather do that first.
And I don't believe this. I think it's the most likely...
Yeah, I'm going I'm going to destroy your most likely thing. Don't worry about that. But you consciousness, man. I thought he was going to come with, what's his name, Robert Lanza next, please.
Well, let's just go.
Anyway. So let's go in. So your claim is this. I don't have to prove to you.
Prove to me that Muhammad was
I don't have to.
illiterate.
I don't have to.
You do have to.
I'll tell you why I don't have to.
You keep
I don't have
claiming
to.
it's true, so-
I'll tell you why I don't have to.
You claim it's true.
No, I don't have to. What did I just say? I just have to prove what you. Sorry, I just have to show why what you just said is a load of rubbish.
Okay, so
That's
what I said is Muhammad.
Listen to me.
illiterate.
Do you accept? No. You just said Muhammad was a literary genius.
So, no, sorry. Prove that he is literate.
That's what I'm saying to you. No.
Sorry. Prove that he's illiterate.
Right, listen. This is your claim. Muhammad was a literary genius. He travelled the world.
Could have been.
Yeah, this is your claim, isn't it?
Could have been.
Most likely, correct. So he travelled the world and he encountered
But do you believe it's a possibility?
No. Yeah, no. It is a possibility.
Okay.
But I'm going to annihilate it. So then, no, don't. It was a possibility, but I will annihilate it. But what I need you to do is accept the principle. If once I've annihilated it, and then I annihilate...
With fact, not belief.
Well, the same way you said your dad's your dad, give you reasons. Yeah?
Yeah, but the evidence is like 99.99.
Yeah, I'll give you my reasons. I'll give you my reasons. Yeah,
that is my
and I truly believe that when you hear these reasons, you're either going to become emotional, illogical, and I really do. Because if you were going to reject, because Alex just did it.
Well, he became. I didn't see him get emotional.
No. Yes, he intellectually became emotional. Because he knew that rationally he couldn't accept what we were saying because it would mean something else to his whole life.
Okay.
Right. So here's your claim. He was a literary genius, like Shakespeare, of his time, and that he had access to all the different religions to learn all about them, and his mates came together and what did you say? They rolled out the Quran out and they wrote it all down and all this. Yeah, this is your claim. All right. So basically
I didn't say. Well, go on.
So basically, the idea that an angel came to him, revealed it from God, and in over 23 years he received revelation. According to you, Muhammad's making this up. He's lying.
No, I'm saying that is also a possibility.
But it can't be a same possibility to what you just said, is it?
No, because it could be.
So literally,
Because I could be wrong.
I know you can be wrong, but if... The idea that an angel came to Muhammad and revealed the Quran to him over 23 years, and the idea that Muhammad was a literary genius and he did it all through all his mates and travelling the world, are not compatible, are not reconcilable.
You've not debunked.
No, I know. But do you accept? So do you accept? If an angel, if you're claiming the literary genius, then there is no angel, isn't there?
But you're not. We're not proving either way.
Okay, I'm just establishing the principle.
So you're going to disprove.
I'm going to show you why what you said is wrong.
Just disprove.
No, but I'm just saying to.
You have to disprove it. You can't just do things out of principle.
Do you accept? This is no word games here, my friend.
Prove it's wrong.
And we do things with principle because that's what we call logic, right? So, do you accept that if he is a literary genius and he did travel the world and meet all different people, that means that he lied about an angel coming and revealing to him?
Okay, if that is true, then that is
can't be true.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if that is true, that can't be true. Yeah. Allahu Akbar. All right. Why did he lie?
I don't know.
Well, you said he lied.
I don't know. I wasn't in his head.
Yeah, but you're believing he lied, so why?
Okay, so he lied. I did say how he lied. Why?
No, you said why? Tell me why he lied.
Because he wanted to. He saw that the.
And
there was war in fact.
And I must ask you at this point to support what you're saying. Yeah, because
he lied for the greater good.
No. Where are you getting this from?
It's a possibility.
Yeah. No. Well, where is it? So this is all subjective in your own mind. This is just your own opinion.
I think it's a logical step.
No, it's just your opinion, mate.
Why religion was created.
Okay.
Religions.
Okay.
And how people sought to control people.
Okay.
Because that's what people.
Okay. So why do people lie? Why do people lie? For motive, isn't it? So what do you believe his motive was? To make people together?
Sorry. What?
Why did he lie? To bring people together?
Yeah, to create a society that was more harmonic than it was before.
Okay. And what happened when he came with this revelation? Was it harmonious? as you say?
Well, he didn't succeed, did he?
Well, no.
I think he did.
What was his status before the revelation? According to what we believe, because we want to know what we believe and what evidence we have.
Harmonious.
What was his status? What was going on? What's happening?
You tell me.
No.
I mean, I don't think he was.
You created this fantasy. I have to understand it.
He wasn't very well respected, I don't think. Was he?
He wasn't respected. So you think he did it for respect? Okay, what else?
I don't
No!
know.
Motives. I want motives, mate. I want to know why someone committed this crime of lie.
I'm not making a claim.
You are.
Well, you're trying to like, I don't know. I'm thinking that these are possibilities. You tell me.
No.
Look,
I'm trying to understand
You're gonna-
why you believed he would lie.
No, you're going to break it down. You're going to disprove it.
Oh, okay, I'll make it easy for you. Okay, he had status. His uncles were the custodians of the Kaaba. And the Kaaba and the Quraysh of Mecca, they made their money, their industry was dealing with the pilgrims coming to worship their false gods at the Kaaba. They bring their idols. Yeah? And they used to trade, the merchants used to trade with the pilgrims, and that's how they made their fortune. Yeah? His uncle was one of the custodians of the Kaaba, so he had status. He was married to one of the richest women in Mecca, so he had money. Right, now tell me again why he would lie. So I don't understand why he would lie.
Buddha, he went on a journey. He gave up. He was exactly in the exact same situation with lots of status, and he gave up.
So tell me what happened to Buddha.
He went and meditated for like.
No, tell me about Buddha. Tell me Buddha. Who was he? What happened to him? And then what did he do?
He felt that he had he was kept in this sheltered life in his castle. He was then he went out one day for I don't remember why, but he saw someone
death. But yeah.
Thought that I can't believe this suffering. I didn't think that.
Right.
Was
And what religion did Buddha create?
Buddhism.
No, he didn't. I told you that.
Well, okay, he didn't create the religion, but it was created around him.
Buddhism has got no connection to God at all. It's a philosophy.
Okay.
So Buddhism is a very, very bad example.
But I'm just saying, he gave up all of this wealth for a reason. Maybe.
All right, look, we're running in circles. Can I just let's listen. We seem to be running around all over the place. Look, let's keep things simple, right?
Let's bring the doctor in. They do his talk.
We believe.
Doctor.
Imran.
You're trying to say that you know
We believe. Listen,
right. Lister here. He's made the claim. Sorry, I know he's saying.
I've not made any.
Yes. He thinks his possibility is this: that Muhammad lied about an angel, that he was a literary genius.
I didn't say that.
Yes, you did.
He potentially.
Well, we just said it.
Because.
Lister, you can't go back on your words, mate.
No. We all had. We were all.
Did you accept if he was a literary genius, then there was no angel? You accepted that.
When language was created, it turned us all into.
Lister, schizophrenic. Lister, did you not say if the literary genius story is true, then the angel story is false? You just admitted that.
Yes, if it is true.
If it is true, right. All right. So that's where we're at. So basically, his claim is that Muhammad, there was no angel. He was a literary genius, and that he travelled the world, right? And he met people of all different religions, and he learned all about
the world. If he was a rich man,
you could make your claim as you like. We don't mind. Claim people we like, mate. Right? So he travelled the world.
Why don't we know anything of his first 20 years?
Relax. So then he basically went around the world and he studied all different religions, and then he decided he wanted to make society good and bring everyone together. This is his claim. Just putting it in a nutshell for you. Yeah, when you said it's the highest possibility, and we just accepted that if that's false and that's false and that's false and that's false, then he's telling the truth. So now I'm bringing you in, right, to show him why, first of all,
that he was illiterate.
Basically, all you don't have to prove he was illiterate. Just have to answer the question: was he a liar?
No, prove that he was illiterate.
No, all you have to do is prove he's a liar.
No, you keep using that he's illiterate.
Listen.
I haven't said that.
No, hold on.
Lister, I haven't said he was illiterate.
No, but Muslims in
But I haven't said it.
Okay, listen.
He's illiterate.
Can I ask you a question, right? How would you verify that somebody was illiterate 14 centuries ago? How would you do that, rationally? You don't know.
You do history, wouldn't you?
What would you do to verify that fact?
You do history, right?
Well,
What would you do? I'm asking you a question.
Okay,
Let's be reasonable.
so just show me the evidence, because I don't think there is any
No,
evidence.
hold on a second. I asked you a very specific question. If I have to prove to you or provide a reasoned argument in support of the claim that he was not a literate man, how would I go about that to convince you? That's a simple question.
You'd have to provide evidence that he's made the claim that I am illiterate.
And how would I do that?
You'd go to the Quran and show me where it says I am illiterate. Like,
Ummi. Okay, the Quran says it's Ummi.
No, sorry. No, here's a problem you've got right now. You think Muhammad wrote the Quran, isn't it?
he was revealed to him.
No, well, you're saying, show me the Quran where Muhammad says I'm illiterate, as if Muhammad wrote the Quran.
But he was revealed to him.
No, but you've just said...
If it was revealed to
you
him,
said
then he's
show...
a prophet
So
of
why
God.
would Muhammad say, I wrote the Quran? Well, I'm illiterate in the Quran, when he's not the author of it.
God would have said, I mean,
Has God said it in the Quran or not?
Yeah.
I don't think it
Sorry.
I don't think it has.
Right, you don't think it has. So if God has said in the Quran he's illiterate, then what?
So I think there's something like 15 references to where his literacy is brought up.
You just said.
But hold on,
No.
because let me finish.
Go on.
However, the word for illiterate is the same for another word. I can't remember which, but that word is used many more times than the 15.
All right. So what word would you like us to use?
So
What word would suit you?
Okay, so you said the Quran saying it.
Oh my giddy
So if it's not the Quran saying it,
Well,
no, but I
where
think
else
it's subjective
Where
in
else
the
could it-
Quran.
so
Why is that
so-
subjective?
so-
It's not objective.
No, hold
So
on.
does it say in the Quran
So-
that he's illiterate?
yes.
You tell me.
It says
Yes, it does.
Ummi.
Yes, it
Ummi.
does.
I'm left.
Okay.
Furthermore, okay, let's not run around in circles.
Muhammad
List
read
that.
right.
List that.
What I was saying
right?
is there some truth to what I was saying? It is debatable.
No, Lister, no. Because,
I
because
read
look,
like
Lister,
years
Lister,
ago.
I would be very careful what you read, my friend.
Lister.
And what you smoke.
And I'd say the same to you.
He received a revelation from the age of 40. That's a long time for people to get to know you. If you were a very literate man, for 40 years, your family, your friends, your nation, your companions, the people who will eat and drink with you, will very easily verify that this man is literate and that he's very educated, very intelligent, and he knows about things that none of us know about. They would know that, wouldn't they? It's a reasonable thing to assume, right?
Yes.
Okay.
However, it's not proof.
Hold on a second. Well, when you talk about 14 centuries ago, I can't show you a video of Prophet Muhammad's 40 years and say, look, there's the proof, right? When we use this word proof, we have to try to understand exactly what we mean by that.
but is it-
because
hold on.
because for you,
I've got-
clearly proof means something completely different.
Did you find the verse in the Quran?
I've got an example. I've got an explanation.
So you don't accept the... Sorry to interrupt you. You just said... No.
Can I
You
just
just...
answer his point before?
No, because
No.
we've just responded to something you said.
Yes,
Rubbish there.
but I can give you an explanation of why his illiteracy would probably not be.
No, that's not the point. You said you would expect the Quran to say he's illiterate, yes? And it does. So now what?
I'd have to reread the.
Read it for him. We'll read it for you. We'll read it for you.
This is like 7
Yeah.
years that I.
No, that's what I'm saying to
See,
you.
listen, the amazing thing is that people who've studied the Quran, like for example, I've mentioned him many times before, Professor Raymond Faria, who is a very literate man because he studied classical Arabic poetry.
Yes, I've
Yes?
you mentioned this guy last
Right,
time.
right.
Yeah. But
Now,
this is subjective.
okay, he's a non-Muslim.
Any
He does an academic research of the structural elements of the Quran. Okay? He's got no interest in becoming Muslim.
But this is why I
Hold on,
said
my
that.
point, no, please.
He's talking to you. It's
let me
his
just
own
finish.
talk. He's forgot your talk.
Let me just finish. Right? He has no interest in accepting Islam. It was just purely out of interest that he did what he did. And somebody said to him, the Quran actually sounds very sort of poetic as well. We don't regard it as poetry.
Oh yeah.
And so, why don't you have a look at that? So he had a look at it as a cursory interest. He studied it in detail, and his academic view was that the way that this is constructed, the complexity and the frequency of these very incredibly sophisticated patterns could not be the work of any man or men for that reason. Now, that was enough to convince him, based upon the evidence that he uncovered, that this is a book from God. Now,
There's people would say
my point to you,
like many artists.
my point to you, what, that it came from God.
Yeah, but they'd say it in like this is so good, it must have come like it's like the highest kind of like
Lister, can I
compliment.
just say something? Lister, can I just say something?
It's subjective. You can't.
Listen,
like,
can I just say something?
go on.
Subjective is a person's own opinion about something, right? Where it becomes a little bit more academic is that now he backs it up with.
But, okay, so now.
Listen, let me just finish.
Now you talk about academics, but you don't believe in evolution.
Listen, hold on a
So
second.
you believe in academics.
This is
when
what's
it suits
happening.
you,
Lister.
but you don't believe in
Abbas,
academics
stay
when it
on
doesn't
point, man.
suit
Don't
you.
allow him off the hook, man. You had him right on the hook. He made this claim that
And then he
Muhammad.
dropped himself in it by
No.
by showing
Listen.
his own bias.
Not at
He
all.
goes academically when it suits his argument, but he won't go for
Lister, no disrespect.
Do you think evolution disproves the existence of
Lister.
God?
No, I don't.
So then what's the problem?
Lister.
Well, why do you go against
Lister.
academic
Who
science?
says we do? Who says we do?
Lister, we can rinse everything you've got to say. But I want to rinse this particular
Because you don't
thing.
understand evolution if you think that we came from.
I don't think you understand evolution, to be honest. Which model of evolution do you believe is true? Which model?
Which model?
Yeah, which version of it?
You want to Google that as well?
There's 5 versions, which one is true? Yeah, which one?